Pat Mahomes. Some have said that he's the greatest quarterback of all time, if not number two.
There's only one greatest quarterback. Tom Brady.
Is he on pace to be the greatest quarterback of all time?
Patrick's on pace. He's
two?
second greatest.
Is he number two?
Yeah,
right now, he's number two.
First, is Mahomes a top 3 quarterback all time?
You got to finish it. Yes.
All time?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
When you look at Mahomes, can you teach that?
Patrick Mahomes is a man who needs little introduction. He's not even 30 years old yet, and he's on the precipice of potentially winning his 4th Super Bowl while also becoming the first quarterback in NFL history to achieve the three-peat. I mean, now look, as we all know, whether Mahomes wins the Super Bowl this weekend or not, the dude is going to be one of the all-time greats to ever play in the NFL. And I mean, of course, you know what we had to do. We had to grab our coffee. We had to get in the car. We got to go for a drive, and we're going to talk about how Patrick Mahomes is redefining this position and what NFL legends actually think about it. I mean, unsurprisingly, his brilliance hasn't gone unnoticed, with some of football's biggest legends weighing in on his generational talent. And in today's video, we're going to look at different times that legend NFL players, coaches, and even some analysts tried to talk about Patrick Mahomes, and at the end of the video, we'll even reveal what Joe Montana, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, thinks about Patrick Mahomes. Because this is what NFL legends really think about Patrick Mahomes. Now, I mean, look, as we all know, from the get-go, I think once Kansas City saw what Patrick Mahomes could do just on the football field, I think they all knew that, well, they had a good one. He, along with the rest of the Chiefs' backups, saw off the Denver Broncos starters, with Mahomes completing 63% of his passes for 284 yards and an interception. While there were no passing touchdowns on the day, his composure and freakish arm talent were on full display, meaning there was little criticism when the Chiefs opted to roll with him as the 2019 starter. Legendary NFL running back Adrian Peterson knew pretty quickly that an upgrade for Mahomes was going to be on the cards, and his reaction to watching Mahomes play in that first game versus Denver is something that all fans can relate to.
When I seen him throw that ball, I was like, oh my God. Just watching that game, I was like, Alex, you're in trouble, man. You know, Alex, my boy, you know, but that kid right there, he has to be on the field and he has to play. Like, he has to play.
Like me now, look, expectations for this dude, yeah, they were pretty damn high when he was coming into the NFL. But I mean, what he did his rookie year, I think no Chiefs fan could have predicted, or just like, I just think they were in love with what they saw the first year that he played. Mahomes completed 66% of his passes for 5,097 yards, 50 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions, making him an easy pick for the prestigious NFL MVP award. Mahomes was unsurprisingly ranked highly by his peers in the NFL's 2019 Top 100 list, landing 4th in his first inclusion. Joey Bosa, a star defensive end and former Defensive Rookie of the Year award winner, was quick to recognize his new division rival's frustrating arm talent.
Ability has to move around in the pocket and then just flick it whenever he needs to, right in the chest of some guy. It was getting pretty frustrating playing him.
I mean, unfortunately for Joey and pretty much every other defensive player in the NFL, that ability just to pretty much make something out of nothing, and just that uncanny ability to be the best improviser, or at least one of the best that the NFL has ever seen, it was going to be a problem for years to come, and we all have seen that now. I mean, 1 year after that MVP win, Mahomes enjoyed his first taste of Super Bowl glory, something he would repeat twice more by the end of the 2023 season, putting him in the position to do the unthinkable and win the three-peat this year in 2024. When filming the 2024 editions of the NFL's Top 100 list, another defensive star, 5-time Pro Bowler Danielle Hunter, had this to say about Mahomes.
We played him this year, and there was one play, I came off the edge, and I was scot-free, and he was able to launch the ball like way down the field, and we were just like, how's that even possible?
I mean, clearly the Chiefs quarterback hasn't lost his ability to frustrate defenders with his outrageous arm talent over the years, but it's not just defensive players who are admitting they're in awe of Mahomes. Joe Burrow, an AFC rival and quarterback who has the talent to end up in Canton one day, had high praise of his opposite number, telling reporters this.
I mean, he's the best right now. He's been playing the best all year. It's fun to watch him play. He does it a lot of different ways. There really hasn't been a lot of people like him come through the game.
And I mean, now look, like, earning the respect for like one of your, I'd say, biggest rivals, or at least one of the players that Patrick Mahomes does struggle to beat. I mean, He kind of kicks Josh Allen's ass every year, except for in the regular season. In the postseason, he's got it. But Joe Burrow seems to have Patrick Mahomes' number, and to hear that kind of respect coming from Joe Burrow kind of just shows you the tier of or I guess I should say that Patrick Mahomes is just in a tier of his own when we really think about it. I mean, especially when you hear guys like Burrow admitting that too, it really does admit that just Patrick Mahomes is that dude. I mean, to begin with, Mahomes' superpower was his incredible arm talent. Like, there isn't a throw he can't make, and no portions of the field are off limits with him. It was this superpower that helped him win the MVP with 5,000 yards in his first year as a starter before winning the Super Bowl in his second. This success, along with the weekly delivery of jaw-dropping highlight reel plays, made him the new poster boy of the NFL. In the lead up to his first Super Bowl appearance, Hall of Fame quarterback Dan Marino was asked by Mike Florio on NBC to summarize why he believed Patrick Mahomes was so special, and he pointed to his incredible arm talent.
I mean, you look at what he's been able to do the first couple years and coming in, last year throwing 50 touchdowns, but just the way he throws the ball, his arm angles and getting in the position that he gets in to throw, and he's throwing it accurately and has a nice sense in the pocket, all those things. He runs well enough. I mean, he runs good enough.
He's got you beat there.
Yes, he does. He does. Maybe not when I was really young, but sure. It's he's special.
I mean, as we all know, Mahomes went on to deliver a thrilling comeback win in that game to give KC their first ever taste of Super Bowl glory. And of course, his freakish arm talent played a big part in that comeback. As we all know, the one play that does stand out was the 3rd and 15 with just 7 minutes left on the clock, with the Chiefs trailing by 10. In many ways, it was now or never for Mahomes, and he delivered, finding Tyreek Hill deep for a massive completion that kickstarted the comeback. Hall of Fame Kurt Warner even went on the Chiefs YouTube channel and told everybody just how special this play was.
Well, I mean, I'm just going to start with, right off the bat, is that he takes an 11-step drop from the gun. That's the first thing that stands out to me, because that's not a thing. It's not a real thing. But Patrick, he's just got some unique abilities to do things that we don't even teach. No coach is ever going to teach you to take an 11-step drop from in the gun and then be able to make a 40-yard throw down the field.
Like, I mean, the dude has so many Hall of Famers just singing his praises that, you really just kind of start to understand when you hear these kind of things coming from Hall of Fame quarterbacks or other greats, is just how much of a freak Patrick Mahomes is. Like, the dude is just unmatched, and if he continues to win, will undoubtedly be the GOAT. Like, Marino and Warner had a lot of success throwing the ball, but the admiration they have for the way Mahomes does it just tells you how special this guy is. With Mahomes showing off his rare physical talents, the Chiefs quickly became the team to beat in the AFC. They made it back to the Super Bowl in 2020, losing to Tom Brady's Tampa Bay Bucks, before falling just short in 2021, losing to Cincinnati in the AFC Championship game. The disappointment of the 2021 season was compounded by the departure of Mahomes' deep threat and Tyreek Hill, leading many people to wonder whether his time at the top was over now, but as we all know, they were completely wrong. Even without Hill in 2022, Mahomes managed to throw for 5,000 yards for the second time in his career, leading the Chiefs all the way back to the Super Bowl and winning the NFL MVP award along the way. During the build-up to Super Bowl 57s, Mahomes' teammate Travis Kelce, who is also set for Canton, praised his quarterback, hinting towards the growth of the mental side of his game.
I think we just seen him grow as a quarterback. His talent level goes far beyond more than his ability to instinctually just go out there. He's playing a step ahead. And he's almost playing chess out there in terms of he's got 3 or 4 moves already in his pocket, depending on what the defense does. And that's what's going to make him the greatest to ever go down. And I love playing with him, and he's nonstop, always trying to find ways to make himself better for this team.
Like, I mean, how a player develops is always going to determine their legacy. For Mahomes, though, he already had the physical gifts, and after 5 regular seasons worth of experience, he now has the mental skill set to match. I mean, the craziest part about this whole thing, too, that I just think a lot of people don't recognize is that even without Tyreek Hill, the dude still managed to find ways to win. And not only that, but elevated the playmakers around him with just the squad of receivers that he did have around him without Tyreek Hill anymore. Like, I mean, truthfully, it's the one year that he was supposed to have technically a down year, or that everybody thought he was going to have a down year. And, well, the dude literally turned around and had career highs in almost every single category that year that he didn't have Tyreek Hill. Like, it's absolutely absurd what Patrick Mahomes was doing that year. Mahomes' legendary head coach Andy Reid also praised his quarterback's growth over the years, telling Colin Cowherd how much control Patrick now has of the offense.
4 to 5 years ago, he didn't have the same feel he's got for the game now, and wasn't as solid with all of his surroundings there and different options. So, yeah, we do it different with him now. Have a lot of trust in him and what he knows and what he can do at the line of scrimmage, and he's very accurate with that. So it's definitely different.
After winning the Super Bowl in the 2022 season, it was pretty clear that the NFL had another dynasty on their hands, which only became more evident in 2023 when Mahomes and the Chiefs converted a relatively down season into a second consecutive Super Bowl appearance. Mahomes had finally taken a step backwards statistically in that regular season, and the results were just 11 wins, which was the Chiefs' worst since the 2017 season when Alex Smith was the quarterback.
I mean, nevertheless, though, as we all know, the Chiefs found a way into the playoffs, and once they were in the playoffs, yeah, they made everybody else in the AFC just pay that they allowed them to get into the playoffs. Like, it was just crazy that year. Like, I mean, just the inevitability of just the Chiefs making the playoffs and, like, Patrick Mahomes stepping it up a gear when he needs to in January. It's just crazy that some people don't really think he's the GOAT and are instead trying to hate on him and just, you know, let me turn out of here real quick. Like, it's just crazy. It's absolutely crazy what some people are thinking about this dude not being the GOAT, or like witnessing history when we're watching what he's doing every single year, year in and year out in the NFL. Like, the dude is just so inevitable at making the playoffs and everything. It's crazy what he's doing.
As we all know, though, the playoffs have often proved too much for some of the league's best quarterbacks whose careers have been overshadowed by playoff losses. Mahomes, on the other hand, only gets better under the bright lights of January football. And I mean, as we all know, Joe Montana, who knows a thing or two about performing when it matters most, was asked about Mahomes' clutch trait when previewing the 2023 season Super Bowl clash between his Niners and the Chiefs.
You want the person who wants the ball, right? You want, he has that mentality that he doesn't care what the score is. He doesn't care if they're winning or if they're losing. He's playing on that same level. And he doesn't, and when they're in behind, you know, you would get people who go, hope we run the ball. You know, he's not like that. And you could just see in his demeanor, like I said, even when they're winning, he has that same look in his eye and the feel.
And it's that ice-cold mentality by Mahomes that has been on display throughout his entire career, and it was on display yet again when defeating the 49ers in overtime of Super Bowl 58. In doing so, Mahomes made Kansas City the 9th team in NFL history to win back-to-back Super Bowls. The difference between Mahomes' Chiefs in the previous 8, however, is that Mahomes has been able to propel his team right back to the Super Bowl the following season, making them the only team in NFL history to even be able to attempt the three-peat. I mean, that fact alone tells you that we're dealing with a different breed of NFL talent, which Peyton Manning attempted to summarize on the Pat McAfee show.
Yeah, look, I'm not sure anybody can speak about Patrick about what it is except him, because it is unique, it is different. I think he can beat you in so many different ways. You know, people say you got to keep him in the pocket; he'll shred you that way. Hey, you know, let's force him out of the middle. You saw some great runs he had against Buffalo. He throws the ball on the run as well as anybody in the league. And he just doesn't really sweat out there. I think he likes getting behind and creating a little drama, good TV ratings, knowing he's going to lead you down for a 2-minute drill. And their team has been there, and their team never flinches because they're like, hey, we've been here before. We were down to this team. We can come back, and they've been that way all season. So, look, they're the bully. And they've earned it.
That summary by one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time perfectly encapsulates the Patrick Mahomes experience. Over his already dazzling NFL career, he has mastered the physical and mental sides of the game, displaying game-changing talent with his arms and legs, while also proving bulletproof in the pressure moments. He has 3 Super Bowl rings to already show for it, and a 4th could be on the way this weekend, giving him the first three-peat in NFL history, and the dude's not even 30 years old yet. Like, I mean, it's this level of success that is reserved for only the best players in the sport that they do have to offer, and Michael Strahan perfectly summarized the effect of this that Mahomes can have on his opponents on the Manning cast.
Mahomes is like, you want to watch him, but then you got to realize you're actually on the field playing against him. So it's kind of like what Barry Sanders, a lot of guys would be on the field watching Barry run instead of trying to tackle him. And that's what I watch a lot of guys with Mahomes do that. And I'm like, hit this guy, get him on the ground, stop being a fan, and you got to play against him. frustrating. Very frustrating.
And like, I mean, honestly, when you reach a level of play where even your opponents can't help but be your fans, you know you're doing something right. And I mean, even in this video today, we have heard from a lot of sports' biggest legends who have all had plenty of good things to say about Mahomes. But to cap it off, let's go back to Joe Montana, whose statement about Patrick Mahomes in the run-up to the 2023 Super Bowl is the perfect way to summarize his standing as one of the greatest of all time.
If somebody said, well, where do you put him in the league? I go, he's in a whole another category. He's a freak in the way he plays. What he does, left-handed, sidearm, whatever he has to do, he gets it done. He's accurate with the ball even when he does it. Great escapability. He'll run if he has to, but most of the time he's looking down the field, and just a fun player to watch.